Hello. Okay, wonderful. Good. Good morning and welcome. My name is Christopher Chase, and I serve on your fellowship board of directors. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors. If you would like more information about the fellowship, please sign our virtual guest book at uufames.org/guestbook. Whether joining us from home or here in Fellowship Hall, we invite you to stay after the service for Coffee Fellowship, where you can introduce yourself and join in conversation with kindred spirits. At 11:15 today as well, the Fellowship Voices will be rehearsing and chanting Barton on the top floor. The transition team will be meeting in room 3, and at 6 p.m., the Mindfulness and Meditation group will be meeting in the fireside room. So on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this sacred space. Here we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life and rebuilding in new ways. Thank you for joining us today.
Our opening words this morning is a responsive reading, and the response is, "No one is outside the circle of love." No one is outside the circle of love. We know that hurt moves through the world, perpetrated by action, inaction, and indifference. Our values call us to live in the reality of the heartbreak of our world, remembering that no one is outside the circle of love. We who are Unitarian Universalists not only affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we also affirm the inherent wholeness of every being, despite apparent brokenness. No one is outside the circle of love. We know that things break or break down. Promises, friendship, sobriety, hope, communication. This breaking happens because our human hearts and our very institutions are frail and imperfect. We make mistakes. Life is messy. No one is outside the circle of love. With compassion as our guide, we seek the well-being of all people. We seek to dismantle systems of oppression that undermine our collective humanity. We believe that we're here to guide one another toward love. No one is outside the circle of love. No matter how fractured we are or once were, we can make whole people of ourselves. We are whole at our core because of the great, unnameable, sometimes inconceivable love in which we live. No one is outside the circle of love. And this morning we light this chalice as we build and rebuild the circle of love. Please rise now in body or spirit for hymn 346, "Come Sing a Song with Me."
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Riley. I am your RE helper, and I'm going to be reading our story for this week. But first, a very quick announcement. If you have not registered your kiddos for our RE classes, we now have printed registration forms. We did send out an email a couple of weeks ago with the RE registration forms, but if you did not fill that out yet, totally okay. Just grab one of these forms and then turn it into the little box office lockbox thing we have. That would be perfect. All right. Our story for this week is The Tree in Me by Karina Lukin. The tree in me is part apple, part orange, pear, almond, plum, part yum, part shade, and part sun. The tree in me is seed and blossom, bark and stump, branch and trunk, and crown. It is bird, squirrel, and worm, and bee. And because there is a tree in me, there is wind, and rain, and dirt, and a river with fish, and a sky too. The tree in me is strong. It bends, and has roots that go deep, down to where other roots reach up toward their own trunk, branch, and crown. And sky too. Because there is a tree and a sky and a sun in me, I can see that there is also a tree in you. That is the end. Thank you, everyone. All right, we are now going to go to our RE classes. So kiddos, you can stand up and follow me. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
As we prepare for the next chapter of our congregational life, we welcome into our community Reverend A.J. Galazin as our interim senior minister. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as together we commit to our relationship of shared ministry.
We welcome you as our interim senior minister during this time of transition, mindful of our free religious heritage and of the history and process of this congregation. We look to you for moral leadership, religious insight, learned wisdom, and spiritual guidance. Will you walk with us in the paths of health, wholeness, and service to the best of your ability?
I will.
Will you help us deepen our sense of identity as a congregation and commitment to it, that we may be ready to enter
I will. As an interim minister, my primary task is to help prepare you for the next chapter of your called ministry. I commit to focus on your strengths as individuals and as a congregation. I promise also to be open and candid, sharing my understanding with respect and love. I promise to listen deeply to your perspectives and to welcome the transformational power of genuine dialogue. Will you commit also to this way of being in relationship?
We will. We pledge to remain honest and open communication with you. When we disagree, as no doubt we will, we commit to doing so clearly and directly, treating you ethically and with the same respect with which we want to be treated ourselves.
I ask you to remember that I am not Reverend McCusick, nor am I called to fill his shoes. Each minister brings different gifts and strengths, and over time they weave richness into the tapestry of congregational life. At this time of beginning, I acknowledge that familiar patterns are important to you, and I ask that you be open to the possibilities of something new. I will work and play with you, laugh, and probably cry with you. I promise to be fully engaged, and then, when our work is through, to leave so that your next chapter of shared ministry will begin. Will you meet me in this partnership?
We will. We will do our best to value your strengths and not expect you to be someone other than you are. We honor your need for regular rest and renewal in regards to serve us well, believing that the ministry of Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Hayes is the work of us all. We pledge to bring our gifts and strengths to this partnership, to share our resources, and to work with you for the good of the congregation during this interim period.
With these words, our shared work is begun.
Connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened, and a sharing community where our joys are amplified. One way we build and sustain our connections in this fellowship is to share the milestones in our lives, the joys and sorrows that are significant. If you're in Fellowship Hall here today and have a milestone, I invite you to line up by the microphone. When you share your milestone, please remember to share your name. I always forget that, actually. And I will light a candle for you. When everyone who's in the building has had a chance to share their milestone, we will adjust our technology so those joining us from home and from other faraway places can also share their milestones. People on Zoom will get a notification in chat when it's time to share. Time for milestones and sharing.
Hi, I'm Jan Cook, and I am celebrating rekindling some relationships with my high school classmates at my 50th high school reunion.
Hi, I'm David Slade. It's been so long since I've done a milestone that I can't, there's so many. I'm just going to start with the most urgent and recent one. I have both a concern and a joy. I'll start with the joy. I have a band who some of you have heard about, the Dave Slade Trio. We had a show the other night and I had to get fill-in musicians. I was able to find a bass player locally and a keyboard player, and we actually played as a 4-piece, and it went great. I'll let again, next time we perform, it may not be for months and months. It may not be ever, but that you'll see why when I give you my concern. But anyway, it went on Friday. It was part of the Maximum Aims Music Fest, and it went really well. It was really fun to play with a keyboard player. The concern is with our regular bass player. My bass player and drummer live in Lawrence, Kansas, so they have to commute up here for the shows. But he is in rehab for the second time now. So anyone who can send strength his way, that would be great. I was sitting here as the service is unfolding thinking what I really need to do is get him hooked up with the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Lawrence, Kansas, which is where we attended before he came here. So that'll be one of my actions items to help him on his path, but please keep him in your thoughts.
My name is Nancy Tepper. My daughter Ann Tepper grew up in this fellowship, and she married Dylan Bicel on the 10th of September. They are already fostering 2 children, and he has a 3-year-old daughter as well, so they have a family that is brought together by this. I would also like to just say that it was a wonderful occasion because of the people that brought together from different parts of the country, family and friends that we had not seen for a long time, and it was a very wonderful gathering.
Good morning, I'm Lily. I've been coming here since April, and this weekend I rise in great joy amongst some concerns for friends and family. And my cousin Tara is currently up in Minnesota getting her treatment for addiction for the 3rd time, and actually feeling far more hopeful than she says she ever has before. So my thoughts are with her, and I'm also sharing concern for a friend of mine on Facebook who is traveling to Thailand to get her reassignment surgery. And I'm thinking about her because I know she has been looking forward to this for months now. And I rise in great joy because of a rekindling of a relationship that my wife and I haven't felt for a very long time, and most especially since February this year. And it makes me quite happy finally to see that again. Thank you.
I'd like to light a candle for my husband, Stan, who's sitting right here, who's recently had a birthday, but I thought especially of him when I arrived this morning. I arrived before he did. The plant that's growing on that trellis as you come in by the door, and it was looking very nice. And I want to tell everyone, Stan built that trellis. And and we put it up there. We were obviously younger than we are now, but it was quite hair-raising, getting up on the ladder and so on. So it was good to see that trellis doing its job today.
My name's Sam Osey, and I'd like to light a sad candle for the recent sudden passing of a friend and beloved teacher to my kids, Sonia McBurney, who passed away suddenly last week.
Jamie. Oh, Okay, thanks. I wasn't sure when to go. So hi, this is Jamie Gerganis, and I'm joining you from my mom's home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we are all, it was my sister and my mom and I. It's the first time we've been together since my dad's funeral 5 years ago. So we're having a good time. And pretty soon, the residents of this senior facility that my mom lives in are all going to gather downstairs for the Steeler versus Patriots football game. So I think I'm going to stay up here though. Okay, I'm done.
This is Sam Wormley. And when I hear come sing a song with me every time, I remember the time that we added a fifth verse, and that was, come laugh and laugh with me, come laugh and laugh with me, come laugh and laugh with me, that I might know your mind. Thank you.
I'll light one final candle for those milestones left unspoken today. Whether you're here in this space or gathered with us in spirit through the wonders of technology, these candles are a sign of our connectedness. Let us hold these milestones in our hearts as we support each other in the weeks ahead.
Interim ministry at its most successful is a ministry of the congregation. While my role as interim minister includes facilitating the transitional work of this congregation, a strong collaboration between minister and congregation is vital to achieve a positive, healthy transformation in the life of the church. Thus, your board of directors has named a transition team to support and promote the work of this interim ministry period. The qualities that the board considered in inviting people to become members of the transition team included their ability to see the ministry of the whole congregation, both the ministry to congregants and their larger community, their enthusiasm about the interim period and the opportunities it can create, their ability to work well on a team, their willingness to hold conversations in confidence when needed, and their skill in promoting healthy communication. I now invite the members of our transition team, Sarah Carlson, Chris McClure, and Cindy Skolton, to come forward. These members of our congregation have generously agreed to serve in this important role for the next 2 years as we journey together as part of their continuing service as leaders in this community. During the interim time, we will focus on the rich heritage of the congregation, its leadership and mission, connection to resources and services that support the church, and the best ways to move toward a promising future.
As members of the transition team, we accept the charge set before us by your church board of directors to share our insight, our knowledge of the congregation, our organizational skills, and willing hands through the time of transition.
To work with the interim minister and encourage congregational members to be involved in the transitional ministry work that awaits us, and
to facilitate our congregation's exploration and development and our preparation for the arrival of our next settled minister.
In my work with you, I pledge to communicate openly and respectfully, and to align my priorities with those of the congregation, supporting the work on your goals and your preparation for the next ministry.
We, the members and friends of Unitarian Universalist Fellowship Names, entrust you as members of the transition team with the sacred task of helping to guide us through this interim period of our congregational life. We honor your wisdom, long-standing experience, and dedication to provide good counsel and good energy during this transitional time, in the spirit of joy and growth, anticipating our bright future together.
May we all engage together with intention and love in the possibilities that lie ahead during this period of interim ministry. And applause.
Good morning. Sue Kierson here for the Generosity team. So this week I've been wondering if I could say anything I wanted to say about money this morning, what would it be? If I could put anything out there, no holds barred, about that conversation that Molly started last week, you know, the one about September being our fundraising month for next year. And if we really want to expand our programs for children and youth, the music and membership, we have to dig deep. What can I say that would be big and bold and frankly nervy enough to make a difference in how you think about this community and how that translates into your financial gift? What would you say about money if you were in my place? Well, I decided to change the subject. Because I think you've all heard it all before. Surely you know that it takes money for our fellowship to survive, to grow, to become more meaningful. Last month, I sat in on the board meeting because I like to ask the members, what should the generosity team share with the congregation about our financial priorities for next year? They answered that question, and we have been sharing those answers and will continue to do so. But the response that especially resonated with me was, we are in a time of transition. What are we going to do with it? In our 75-year history, we are in a new place. What are we going to do with it? So instead of money, what I want to talk about is AJ's homework assignment from last Sunday. You remember how he spoke about returning to places you love, returning to this place. And then he issued one of those, here's your assignment for the week, should you care to do it, kind of thing. I always fall for that. 4 questions. Why do you return to this place? What challenges do you face to return? What value do you expect to find when you return? What worth or service do you add to this community? I return here every Sunday because I've been returning here every Sunday. And now it's the place where I belong. It seems to me that often we inadvertently downplay the time and effort and persistence it takes to get to this stage. In my experience, even in a welcoming, friendly congregation, it takes coming back, returning over and over to develop a true sense of belonging. And what do I expect to find when I return? Friends. People who are happy to see me and whose values are like mine, who support me and I support them. I expect to hear at least one really provocative idea that challenges me every Sunday. And I fully expect to experience at least one inspiring moment. I expect to be prodded and encouraged to find my own spiritual path, and I expect to be embraced as a valuable member of this community. All of that is high value stuff for me. It's not too late for you to do this assignment. Answer all the questions. I feel quite sure that if you do it, we won't have to talk much about money. You'll know the value of this faith group in your life, and the financial part of your generosity will reflect that value.
Sue? Oh, there you go. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that part about how easy it is now?
You mean easy to give money?
Yeah, and easy to be a sustaining giver.
We have really worked at making the giving process a simple matter. Today, in fact, as we speak, every member and our very best friends are receiving an email from the generosity team. Might be on your phone right now. Everything you need to know is there. If you're a person who likes a lot of information, click on the links that take you to priorities, the giving guide, the list of pledges, no names from last year. If you agreed last year to be a sustaining giver, you don't have to do anything unless you wish to change your gift for next year. And of course, we hope that some of you will be able to consider an increase. David, thank you for becoming a sustaining giver, because you remember how it used to be with you?
I do. As does everyone who tried to get me to send in my pledge card. Yes.
Thank you to all of you who are sustaining givers, and to those who are seriously considering it, and to each one of you, however you give. Thank you. Now we'll move into our offertory. Each month, our congregation chooses a nonprofit organization to support. This is above and beyond the annual budget of the UUFA I've just been referring to. Recipient groups are nominated by members of the fellowship, and in fact, you can participate in that process later this year. This month, our offering goes to RIP Medical Debt, whose purpose is to assist large numbers of individuals who struggle with overwhelming medical debt. The organization uses donations to buy debt at steep discounts and then assists those whose income qualifies them for help. In Fellowship Hall, the basket will be passed, I think.
Yes.
Okay. But please know that giving online is always welcome and encouraged, and from my own experience, really easy. uufames.org/donate, and thank you for your generosity. Now, what we've really been waiting around for, one of our very favorite musicians, David Slade.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everybody. So those of you here this summer, the generosity team commissioned a song of ourselves, and what we came up with was an adaptation of "I Will Survive" the great Gloria Gaynor anthem. So this is was written about returning to the fellowship and being here in person. And I realize the second verse is actually more, for me at least, about also trying to struggle and fight against the toxic and destructive themes and movements out there in our society these days. So if you can hear the words, that you can think of both those things, coming back here and standing up for what we value. At first we were afraid, we were petrified, kept thinking we could not persist other than side by side. But then we started thinking harder about how to right this wrong, and we grew strong. And we learned how to get along, and now we're back in our old place. We just walked in, and here we are in real and cyberspace. We can be both at the same time. Our world is bigger than before. No need to fear the future. Had we known, we could be so much more. So come on in, walk in the door. Don't turn around now, 'cause we're all welcome here once more. We can all join in from home or at the UUFA site. We didn't crumble, we didn't lay down and die. Oh no, not us. We will survive. Oh, as long as we know how to love, we know we'll stay alive. And we've got all our lives to live, and we have all our love to give. We will survive. We did survive. We have survived. It took all the strength we had not to fall apart. Kept trying hard to mend the pieces of our broken hearts. And we spent oh so many nights just feeling sorry for ourselves. We used to cry, but now we hold our heads up high, 'cause we're still here, but like brand new. Oh, we're all done wondering what in the world we're gonna do. We know despair is always there, ready to occupy our minds, but we won't let it win. We'll always find a way to fight, so come on in, walk in the door. Don't turn around now, 'cause we're all welcome here once more. We can all join in from home or at the UUFA site. We didn't crumble. We didn't lay down and die. Oh, no, not us. We will survive. Oh, as long as we know how to love, we know we'll stay alive. We've got all our lives to live, and we have all our love to give. We will survive. We did survive. We have survived.
Thank you, David. And good morning, Ames. It is wonderful to be here with you today. My name is Reverend A.J. Galazin. My pronouns are he and his, and I'm your interim minister, your temporary, totally replaceable minister. Remember, no one is irreplaceable, except for the generosity team. Every Sunday, our conversation continues. I never know what I'm going to say until I've listened to you, learned from you, and conversed with you. And sometimes I converse with myself. Do you ever do that? Last week, I spoke about the spiritual practice of returning, of coming back and rediscovering. What I thought about afterwards is that returning is not something done once and then forgotten. For it to be a practice, we need to return again, give it away, and return again. Again being the operative word. That's what makes it a practice. Returning once is not a practice. It's like dipping your toe in the water and saying you know the depth of the ocean. Some people go to church twice a year religiously at Christmas and Easter, or to the synagogue just for the high holy days, or to the mosque only during Ramadan. They may get really good at practicing those holidays, but the rest of their liturgical year may atrophy. They may start believing there's nothing else going on. Their spirits may start to crumble and dry up. They say that Rome was not built in a day. And the deeper we look, the more evidence we find. The Emperor Constantine commissioned a great basilica to be built on the Vatican Hill, where St. Peter was traditionally thought to be crucified and buried. And that church stood for more than 1,000 years before crumbling apart, being torn down and replaced by the current basilica with Michelangelo's famous dome. And it wasn't until the 20th century that an ancient cemetery and a Roman circus, a track for racing horses, was rediscovered underneath St. Peter's. People have been returning to that same place for centuries, building and rebuilding, racing, gambling, praying, venerating, and burying. Our theme this month is belonging. And I believe that before we can belong, we need to return. Belonging doesn't just happen. But what do we do when we return? Are we just tourists making the rounds? Or do we each have something to contribute when we return? I divide the contributors into two groups, the builders or the founders and the maintainers, or the inheritors. The builders are inspired and charismatic. They propose great things and get great things done. They make investments in the future by dreaming and reaching beyond their means. They are at the forefront of the parade that others will follow. The maintainers appreciate the gifts and sacrifices of the builders and do their best to keep up appearances and mechanicals in good order. The maintainers may not be as enthusiastic as the builders, but they realize the importance of guarding against damage and neglect. Maintainers are realistic and creative people who want to live within their means. And maintainers keep marching on even when the earth shakes and cracks appear. I used to think that the builders had the tougher job. They had to do so much comprehensive planning, heavy lifting, fundraising, and coordinating. All the maintainers have to do is keep things nice and clean, paint the walls, fix the roof, and patch the leaky pipes. But now I'm not so sure. The builders may actually have an easier time. They already have the vision and the energy. They know what they want and they're going to get it. Nothing can stop their momentum. They are proud to accomplish great things. It's the maintainers or the inheritors that may have the more difficult job. Working with scarce resources and yet respectful of the builder's design. Maintainers need to make tough decisions. To repair, to remove, to replace, to renovate, to rebuild, or to retrofit. At our transition town hall last weekend, someone mentioned watching this fellowship being built. They remarked how the original curved concrete walls were reminiscent of a castle on a hill, protecting the people inside from attacks by the villagers. Subsequent additions to the building, made by new generations of builders, have largely disguised those defensive turrets. And yet, this building remains enigmatic. It is difficult to imagine what goes on here by looking at the exterior. As the old song goes, here is the church, here is the steeple. Open the door and see all the people. I believe every community needs both builders and maintainers. They are of equal stature. Exterior and interior, heart and soul. Transition time is about both building and maintaining. And of course, I'm speaking about more than bricks and mortar. This is a time to evaluate systems, structures, and staffing. Some things may be fine, maintained just the way they are. Other things may need to be rebuilt, utilizing the latest materials and techniques. Still other things may be buried under years of disuse and need to be rediscovered or left to rest. This morning, you commissioned the transition team to share their insight, their knowledge, and their organizational skills to meet with me monthly as we encourage everyone to find your place in this work. The transition team will be reaching out to you. They are here to help the board prioritize what's most important. And we already know we won't be able to accomplish everything we want. Your assignment this week, should you choose to accept it, what is your calling? Are you a builder, a maintainer, a founder, an inheritor? How do your special skills meet your deep joys in this work? Belonging isn't just about being welcomed. Belonging is finding your passion and helping build and rebuild this beloved community. May it be so, and amen. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life. Our closing words come from Arthur Graham. Each of us is an artist whose task it is to shape life into some semblance of the pattern we dream about. The molding is not of self alone, but of a shared tomorrow and times that we will never see. So let us be about our task. These materials are very precious and perishable. Go now in peace. And we extinguish this chalice as we do our own work until we gather again. Women in the round.
We're going to
be singing a really fun song, and it will be especially fun for people who are gardeners. It rained, we got rain, now it's sunshine, and we will sing the first verse, and you will sing the second, third, and fourth verse with us. It will be on the screen.
Joyful, joyful, we adore you. Earth, our home, our precious gift. Hearts unfold like flowers in morning as the sun begins to shift. Field and forest, vale and mountain, meadows where the children play. Giver of our food and beauty, fill us with the light of day. Mother Earth gives joy around us, fields and meadows sing your praise. Birds and insects add their voices, sunshine now is all ablaze. Grant us now a row of lettuce, grant us spinach by the bunch. May the worms not come and get us, may the bugs not eat our lunch. Garlic, beetroots, and cucumber, carrots, cabbage, peppers, peas, beans and broccoli without number, purple eggplant majesties. In our gardens, in our forests, give us lots of sun and rain. For potatoes, onions, parsley, for the goodness of the grain. We've been given the strength for hoeing. We are blessed with birds so pure. Streams of water ever flowing. You have given us great manure. Gardeners singing, march we onward, growing in the midst of strife. Vegetables are rising, sun